Good evening, beautiful people. If you think you have seen government corruption, welfare abuse, and identity politics gone wild, you haven't seen anything yet. Today, we're diving into how taxpayer money meant for disabled kids and hungry kids ended up allegedly funneled overseas, how political identity blocks and immigration politics created a near immortal fraud machine, and how one loud voice in Congress is now scolding people speaking on the corruption going on in Minnesota while failing to condemn the perpetrators. How does that make any sense? Welcome to Nelly Miranda.
An example is Minnesota, where hundreds of thousands of Somalians are ripping off our country and ripping apart that once great state.
Last night, the president reiterated claims that Somalis in Minnesota are behind fraud and crime in the state. Just last Friday, he called to terminate temporary protected status for Somalia. The potential termination would impact an estimated 430 Somalis in Minnesota under that protection.
As always, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. Okay, so as you all know, President Trump dropped the hammer on Minnesota's temporary protected status for Somali immigrants. He called Minneapolis a hub of fraudulent money laundering activity. So not just one or two bad apples, but a large population of the state. At least that's what he said in his tweet. And why? Because investigators say Minnesota has been ground zero for some of the largest welfare fraud schemes in U.S. history. Ilhan Omar did not take this kindly and called Trump all types of lawless and stupid for supposedly thinking that he was running something in America, let alone little Mogadishu. In this next clip, she tells the Somalians of Minnesota that she will have their TPS status updated by March. So what does that look like? Mass marriages? Threats to USCIS? Like, what will that look like?
When the president tweets as if he has the authority to terminate temporary protected status for Somalis in Minnesota, even little kids in 8th grade know that that is not an authority that the president has and can wield. The other unlawful thing that our lawless president is claiming to do so is to terminate that status for only one state, which he has no authority to do so. So, for the 300 or so people that are impacted, that currently live in Minnesota and across the country, we see you and we stand with you, and we will make sure we do everything that we can to help make sure that your status is adjusted before March of 2026. Because you know and I know that there is nothing temporary about people's lives here in the United States.
They turned welfare into their own ATM and used it to pay for real estate, luxury, even remittance overseas. Some of the funds allegedly traveled through Hawala networks back to Somalia. But it's how dare Trump and not how dare we defraud the system, the country that accepted us with open arms. Let's talk about how deep the rabbit hole goes. There's a multi-year sprawling fraud network allegedly ripping off Medicaid, autism funding, children nutrition money, housing stabilization support, you name it. And in one case this year, a 28-year-old Minneapolis woman was charged with wire fraud for faking autism therapy claims under Medicaid, part of a $14 million scam. The infamous Feeding Our Future fraud is said to be the largest COVID-era child nutrition fraud in the country. Prosecutors say they built federal programs for millions of fake meals, accepted bribes and kickbacks, and diverted funds to shell companies. And when investigators try to audit the Housing Stabilization Services program under Medicaid, statewide abuse was so widespread that the state shut down the whole program. You turn here, Somalis are engaging in fraud. You turn here, fraud. They're fraud. But instead of addressing the issue, Trump's to blame for having the audacity to call it out because he's not playing nice like the elected officials in Minnesota. But Ilhan Omar let us know that neither she or the Somalian community is going anywhere. Minnesota is their home. They have migrated from other states because Minnesota is so special to them. Yeah, I bet, because Minnesota turns a blind eye and lets y'all defraud. But go on.
But I want most Minnesotans to know this. Majority of us Somalis who are here, as my friend Ali said yesterday, most of us, this was not the first place we came when we came to the United States. But most of us chose Minnesota as our home because Minnesota is special to us. Minnesotans are special to us. When we moved from Arlington, Virginia and came here nearly 30 years ago, none of us decided to move to another state. My siblings and I and my dad, until he died, called Minnesota home. Because, like I said, Minnesota is special. And I know almost every single elected Somali Minnesotan did not start out in Minnesota, but chose to come here, stay here, start families here.
This is what happens when massive welfare systems, immigration, and identity-based political blocs intersect. Without assimilation, without cultural integration, without accountability, when a tight-knit immigrant community concentrates in one city, gains political influence, and becomes a protected class, oversight becomes optional. Fraud becomes systematic. And the investigative agencies, they get framed as bigots. Can you imagine? If you are running in the DFL, you cannot even get elected without the Somalian vote. So all in all, the plan to congregate in one place and literally turn the city into their own, where they have immense power in politics, it's actually quite brilliant. Talk about working together. Talk about till jail do us apart. But Omar went on to tell us about all of the good that the Somalian community has contributed, which I don't doubt at all. We're talking about the fraudsters and her not publicly condemning it, but instead she wants to gaslight us into believing that they're somehow being unfairly picked on, which is utter nonsense.
Somalis are not terrorizing this nation. We are helping it thrive. Somalis have always seen themselves as a fabric of this nation. We have signed up to serve this country in its military. We have signed up to teach children. We have signed up to become nurses and doctors and engineers. We have signed up to be public servants and get elected into office. We don't do that because we hate this nation. We do that because we love this nation. We do that because we have deep gratitude to the Americans who have given us the opportunity to find a new home, to settle in that new home, to find new joys in that new home, to start families in that new home, and to call that new home our own.
Look, I believe in the American dream. I believe immigrants can, have, and will continue to contribute as doctors, soldiers, teachers, entrepreneurs, etc. But that only works when they integrate, respect the rules, and contribute in good faith. What we saw in Minnesota and what we're seeing now isn't about race, religion, or ethnicity. It's about lawlessness, opportunism, and the betrayals that happen when identity politics shields criminality. That's the issue. Ilhan Omar says one thing when she's speaking in English and turn around and say what she really means when she's speaking in her language. Take a listen.
jawaabteedu waxay ahayd dawladda Mareykanka waxay ka qabanaysaa wixii annaga aan dhahno dawladda Mareykanka qabo waa kalsoonidaas inaan isku qabno annaga Soomaali hadii aan nahay wadankan annaga ku nool wadankan wadankii aan annaga tax ka dhiibno waaye waa wadankii gabar idinka dhalatayne ee Congress ka fadhiso intii aniga aan Congress joogo wadanka Soomaaliya biyaheeda dad kaleeta iyo badeeda dad kale ma qaadanayaan wadanka Mareykankana kuma taageerayo dad kaleeta in annaga ayna dhacaan marka taas ka seexda reer Minnesota gabadhii Congress u dirsateen way idinka war haysaa sidaad idinka u dareemaysiin dantaas ay u dareemeen
If you did not catch it, this is what she said. My answer to Somalians was that the U.S. government will only do what Somalians in the U.S. tell them to do. They will do what we want and nothing else. They must follow our orders, and that is how we will safeguard the interest of Somalia. We Somalians must have that confidence in ourselves that we call for the shots in the U.S. We live in the U.S., pay taxes in the U.S., and have a real voice. The U.S. is a country where one of your daughters, myself, is in Congress to represent your interest for as long as I am in the U.S. Congress. For as long as I am in the U.S. Congress, Somalia will never be in danger. Its waters, the Indian Ocean, will not be stolen by Ethiopia or others. The U.S. would not dare to support anyone against Somalia to steal our land or oceans. Sleep in comfort, knowing I am here to protect the interest of Somalia from inside the system. The woman you sent to Congress is working day and night to protect your interests. She knows your plight and that of Somalia. I am as concerned about Somalia as you guys are. Now, wait a damn minute. Let's talk about hypocrisy. And I hope the translations are 100% accurate because the statements made are fascinating. So the president of the United States does not have the power to cancel TPS for Somalians, but she, as a congresswoman, has the power to tell the U.S. government that they will do what Somalians tell them to do and nothing else. So she has the power to protect Somalia's land and oceans from within the U.S. Now, if that is all true, then America needs to wake the hell up. But what do you think? Is it possible for a community to fully integrate into America if its leaders openly reject American priorities? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And as always, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe to support the channel and ring the bell so you don't miss any future updates. And if you missed the breakdown I did yesterday on Zoran Memdani firing 179 City Hall staffers, I'll link it right above. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.